Hey there guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Book of Boba Fett episode 6, and this is by far my favorite episode of the series so far. Guys, don't forget to hit the notification bell and subscribe if you want to keep talking about Star Wars and keeping up to date on the latest videos. So in the beginning of this episode we see Cobb Vanth, Vanth Refrigeration, and the Pikes are trying to run the narcotic spice through the town. And Cobb Vanth don't take too kindly to the Pikes in these parts. So he tells them to leave the chest, which is more valuable than the whole town. After the title screen, we see Mando going to visit Grogu. We see R2-D2 scanning the area, and Mando lands his new Naboo spacecraft right next to him. And it's always a pleasure to see R2-D2. Remember, Mando hates droids, but you can see that he's definitely come around. And of course, who doesn't love R2? R2 leads him through this beautiful green planet with amazing bamboo trees and tons of vegetation. It's nice to get away from Tatooine, especially if you hate sand because it's coarse and it gets everywhere. So we see a rock kind of floating around and we think that it's perhaps Luke floating the rocks like he did on Dagobah. But no, it's these ant droids building what looks to be the new Jedi temple, similar to the structures that we see in Act 2 from The Last Jedi. This is obviously the beginning of Luke's Jedi Academy, which according to the sequel trilogy is doomed. Now for me, this is when it gets really spectacular because I didn't know what to expect with this episode, especially after episode 5. So there he is in all his cuteness. We see Grogu, Baby Yoda. And of course we see Master Luke Skywalker in his final form, and he looks amazing. I still can't believe we're getting this right now in this episode. We get to see Luke in his prime. And this is so special because it's long overdue, especially from the treatment that they gave Luke in the sequel trilogy. Truth be told, when we saw Luke in the Mandalorian season finale, I ugly cried in the dark by myself, and it was just a special moment that I will remember forever when Luke came on screen and we saw his green lightsaber, and that moment for me was absolutely the biggest pop culture moment of the year. So we see Grogu trying to lift this one frog out of the water, and he's so cute, and Luke has a lot of patience for Grogu, and this is just an amazing moment, and I'm glad that we get to get this in Boba Fett. And then Luke kind of shows off a little bit, similar to what Yoda did when Yoda lifted up the X-Wing out of the water, out of the swamp. So Luke lifts up like 20 frogs, and he just shows Grogu that you can achieve great things when you just focus and harness the Force. And elephant in the room, I'm glad that they fixed Luke's face. In the Mandalorian finale, he did look a little questionable. They did the deep age technology. But in this one, the technology has increased tenfold. I mean, I think they did a de-aging and also applied a deep fake on top of it. So it looks freaking amazing. And also his voice, it sounds just like Luke from Return of the Jedi and The Empire Strikes Back. He sounds amazing. So good job, Mark Hamill, for coming through for us. Which brings me to the next scene. Luke and Grogu are walking through the woods, and you can see Grogu kind of floating along, and it's actually Luke lifting his feet up and helping him walk a little faster because he's so small. And he tells Grogu that he reminds him of somebody, and of course that someone is Master Yoda. He was small like you, but his heart was huge. Size matters not. Because everyone was kind of wondering, are you going to mention Yoda? I mean, obviously Grogu looks just like Yoda. So as an audience member, we're kind of like, what's the reaction going to be? You know, what are we going to learn about Grogu's species? So in this episode, it's not just fan service, but there's a lot of common sense. And instead of tap dancing around it, they show you, not tell you. So Luke uses the Force to show Grogu a flashback, or kind of a force back as we call it. It's a memory we got from the night of Order 66, and we see 3 Jedi protecting Grogu, and the clones are approaching, and the 3 Jedi obviously get killed, but we don't really see who saves Grogu, and he cuts back to, out of the memory back to Luke. And these are kind of the flashbacks we wanted to see all along. I wasn't really that interested in the Tusken Raiders. They could have really consolidated that to one episode of Boba Fett with the Tuskens. But, I mean, I'm glad we're getting this scene anyway, but I just wish they didn't concentrate so much time on the Tusken flashbacks. Mando is still waiting for his little friend as we see another familiar face, Ahsoka Tano. I can't believe that she's already here in this place in time. She already knows Luke. She's already met up with Luke and Grogu, and I just can't believe that we're getting all this packed into one episode. I can't believe she's here with Luke Skywalker, so just let that sink in for a moment. Ahsoka was Anakin's Padawan learner, and she's here as an adult with Luke, and Luke's grown up. So just imagine the conversations they must have had, especially now that we know that they already know each other and they already kind of have a friendship. Mando asks Ahsoka if he can go see Grogu and give him his gift, but she warns him that Grogu's love and attachment for Mando would only make him sad if he saw him. It would interfere with his training and do more damage than good, because remember that the Jedi have to forego all attachments and some of that love, because obviously, attachments leads to anger, and anger leads to hate, and hate leads to the dark side. Cut to Luke doing some cardio with Yoda. Baby Yoda. Grogu on his back. But another cute callback to Luke having Yoda on his back and doing flips and doing some physical training. And I've always liked that, how the Jedi have physical abilities, and they weren't just some nerdy chess players who occasionally did sword play. So I like seeing that they're running and jumping and they're physical beings. These guys are athletes. Just imagine Mace Windu versus Obi-Wan in a basketball game. Who would win? And then we have this amazing conversation with Ahsoka and Luke, and she tells him that he reminds her of his father. That was really, really an amazing little conversation that they had. And it just made me smile because there's so much backstory, and we're on the inside of that story. We're in on it. And it felt kind of special just to be part of that. So I really like the Luke and Grogu scenes, and it just warms my heart. And I think officially every time I see young Luke, I start getting very, very emotional and start getting teary-eyed and crying a little bit. So that's just kind of funny that that's actually happening to me as a Star Wars fan, as a grown man. The power that some of these characters have had and the influence in our lives. All right, finally we get Mando going back to Jabba's palace, and Boba Fett is sitting around the conference table with his crew, and we got Mando, Black Chrysanthemum, and the Mod Squad, and Fennec, and Boba is asking them for a few more foot soldiers for more people to join the cause. And Mando then goes to see Cobb Vanth in Mos Pelgo, which we learn is now called Freetown. And Mando is asking for Cobb Vanth and some of the townfolk to help fight the Pikes. And he's kind of on the fence, and I think he wants peace and safety for the town, but he doesn't want any more fighting. So he says, let me go talk to my people. Let me see what we can do. All right, so as the title suggests, a stranger will come out of the desert. So after Mando leaves, Cobb Vanth walks in the middle of town, and he sees some sort of figure walking in the distance. And the wind is blowing, and the heat kind of creates that blurry look. And as he walks closer, he tells everyone, get inside, get inside. And I'm freaking out. I think I know who it is, who I see in the distance. It's still kind of a mystery, and they keep it a mystery as the stranger is wearing a cowboy hat, and it doesn't really show his face. And in this scene, they do the good, the bad, the ugly. They show the two gunslingers across from each other and their pistols at the ready, and it shows a camera angle at their hips. And then slowly his face is revealed, and guess who it is? It's the blue-skinned, red-eyed Cad Bane. And boy, does he look freaking amazing in this live-action version. He has the blue skin, the teeth, the red eyes. And if you don't know who he is, he's this badass bounty hunter from the Clone Wars, the animated series. And he tells Cobb Vanth that Boba Fett is no good. He worked for the Empire. Stay out of the fight and you will be rewarded handsomely. But the tension rises and the deputy is kind of squirrely. And Timothy Olyphant is doing this great justified thing, man. He's just a badass cowboy, and he's giving him that stare down, and he's got the gravitas, and he's just a freaking badass cowboy. They should start a whole new slew of Western movies starring him, and I'm thinking they should do the Red Dead Redemption. Huh? So while the deputy keeps on distracting Cobb Vanth, he gets shot in the shoulder by Cad Bane. And I really, really like the way they handled this scene. It's got the old Western vibes. It had the tension, it had the music and the suspense, and just another great scene in this episode. From that scene, we go to Garza's paradise, and the Pikes are carrying this suitcase, and they come and sit down and try to order a drink or something. But then they get up and they leave this suitcase at the table, and by the time everybody realizes what it is, it's too late. So it's actually a bomb, and the bomb goes up and it blows up Garsa's paradise. And I think they're trying to send a message to Boba Fett, because obviously she was nice to Boba and she supported his cause. And finally, Luke gives Grogu the gift from Mando, and it's a Beskar chainmail armor. And it's so cute. It even has like a little pouch area for the diaper at the bottom. It's really, really cute. And he also presents to Grogu Master Yoda's lightsaber, and he puts the two side by side, and he's like, you need to choose. If you choose the Beskar armor, you can go back to the Mandalorian and we're done here. But if you choose the lightsaber, then you will be my first student in this new Jedi Academy, and you will become a great Jedi. So this is a lot, but this is kind of where the episode ends, and it was a really, really good episode. We don't know what Grogu is going to choose right now, but it did show him looking at both items, and I'm leaning towards him actually going with the lightsaber, because I hope that they're trying to retcon the sequel trilogy and that Ben does not become Luke's prime student. Like I hope they change it up, and Grogu is going to be the biggest focus for Luke, and hopefully the sequel trilogy won't happen. We won't have Kylo Ren, we won't have Rey, we won't have Palpatine coming back. I really think that they're going to kind of trick us thinking that that Grogu is going to choose the Mandalorian chainmail, but I think he's still going to choose a lightsaber. I think the obvious choice is he's going to choose Mando, but I think Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau and Robert Rodriguez, they want to kind of save Star Wars or take it in a different direction from what we got, because there's obviously a huge division from the fans. So I think this is one way they can kind of trick us, kind of like what they did with the Mandalorian season finale. It was a huge trick. Nobody saw it coming. So I think they're going to keep doing that and try to retcon what's happening with the sequel trilogy. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today. So obviously I give this episode a freaking A. Like, it had everything that you can ask for in a Star Wars production. It had great characters. It had great cameos. It had Ahsoka, Cobb Vanth, Grogu. It had a surprise ending. It just had so many good things going for it. It had the music. It had the nostalgia. It had slow moments that we can kind of just relish and enjoy it. Nice, slow-paced moments that the fans have been yearning for. Obviously, a lot of the budget for this series has gone to these past two episodes. You got Mando, who kind of took over episode 5, and then you have Luke and Grogu, who kind of took over episode 6. I really wish that they did something different with the Boba Fett, the first 4 episodes, but hopefully this next episode will be a huge payoff. It's going to be directed by Robert Rodriguez, who he hasn't done that good of a job so far, to be honest with you. So I'm kind of nervous about the season finale, but I think if Dave Filoni is going to step in and help him out, then we'll be fine. You're just going to have all your favorite action figures closing in on one battle. And it's going to be Boba Fett, Black Chrysanthemum, Fennec, Mando, and maybe Grogu and Luke. I mean, we'll see what happens. So the question is for you guys, who do you think Grogu is going to choose? Do you think he's going to choose Mando or the lightsaber and he's going to stay with Luke? What are the pros and cons of each one? Let me know in the comments. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much. God bless. Take care. And we will see you on the next one.